Howdy ho, amigos. Just a quick September update video. Did an August video, update video about halfway through the month. So everything I talked about in that I didn't really get done. But you know, life happens. My work load can fluctuate a bit because of what I do. So you know, I get everything done. But anyway, I did some. So here's the update for this month. The Panzer Kampfwagen Aus D by Tamiya, the good old kit that I've been working on. I am finally about 95% done, I would say. I've got a little bit of weathering to do on it. Just some streaking and some chipping, just not very much. I mean, good grief, one sitting I can have that knocked out. And then, but primarily I'm waiting on some products, some thinners and stuff like that for my matte varnish. I'm having a real hard time with this matte varnish by Vallejo. And I love their products. All of them have been great. And the matte varnish, I like the finished result. It looks good, but I'm having a real hard time spraying that stuff. And I think I figured out what the problem is. I think I'm using the wrong thinner for it. I'm using the thinner for the actual brush paints, you know, like the model color. So I ordered some Vallejo airbrush thinner, and I'll give that a shot and see how that works. But you know, it looks good when it's on. I'm just having a real hard time getting it on the model. So once I get that in, I'll have the streaking and chipping effects done on the tank, and then I can call it done. But here is what it looks like thus far. I'm just going to leave it in this box because, you know, it's kind of easier to hold it. But, you know, I've got the little trooper dudes in it, the little Panzer guys. You know, I'll get some better shots of them once, you know, I get the rest of the stuff I need. But you know, it turned out pretty good. I like it. You know, I still, like I said, I need to do that little bit of weathering. My figures could use some work, but you know, they're okay. You know, they work. And again, this is really intended to be like a beginner type project. So for beginners, and yeah, I guess, you know, you could go gung ho and get all crazy with the painting on the figures. Ian did a video on the way he does faces, and I'm blown away, and I am going to be using that method on my next figures. So Ian, if you watch this, good job on that video. Look, you just made it look like any knucklehead could do it. Not to say that you're a knucklehead, because you're not. You're a talented guy, especially with your videos. I love your videos. But me, I would consider myself a knucklehead when it comes to figure painting, but hopefully I can rectify that. So anyway, that's the Panzer IV. So once I get that done, I'll do a final reveal type video and let you check it out, see what you guys think. But in the meantime, I'm getting to start my next kit, which is the BF 109 G10. Martin, what is it? British modeler or UK modeler, and I can't remember what his thing is. God, my memory's shot. But Martin did this kit, and it's going to be a tough act to follow. He did a really stellar job on it. But you know, I love this kit. I love it, and I'm really looking forward to working on it. I'm gonna do kind of a, I think I mentioned it in my last update video. I'm gonna do kind of a review on it, but I'm not just gonna like crack open the box and go over all the details, because there's a lot of people that have already done that. I'm gonna talk about a few highlights on the kit that I feel worth mentioning, and I've got some aftermarket stuff ordered for it, specifically the prop spinner and the exhaust. And once those come in, which hopefully will be next week sometime, I'll talk about those. But in the meantime, I'm going to get started on this kit. So I'll crack the box open, I'll talk a little bit about it, and then I'll start building it. I want to do like Will Pattison said on his video. His idea of a review is to not only to crack it open and look at it, but build it, you know, so we can take a look at it and see, you know, what's in the box. That's all gravy, but how does it all go together? And that's what I want to do. So, Will Pattison, we're thinking on the same lines here. I find it frustrating sometimes that people will crack open a box and, oh yeah, look at the detail here. This looks really cool. This is a new thing in this particular kit. But then it doesn't get put together, and you know, so you don't know. I mean, some people do reviews, build logs on them, but you know, it'd be nice to have it all together. You know, this is what's in the box. Now let's put it together. So that's what I'm going to do, and that's coming up next. So I'll be starting that this week. Probably, well, I may get to some of it tonight. But for sure before the weekend, and I'll just kind of keep her running posts. It's not going to be geared as much for beginners. I may bring up some stuff. You know, I've said from the beginning that I would like to have my videos kind of be helpful for beginners, and it will be. It's just kind of like the next step in working on models. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to do another, you know, kind of a next step kind of video. You know, one of my early videos was, you know, these are the basic tools and supplies you need to put a kit together. So I think I'm going to do another one with kind of like secondary type supplies and tools that are helpful. And I think I'll do that as I add new tools and new things to my arsenal. I'll add that stuff to it and talk about it a little bit, because I'd kind of like, you know, if a beginner has started watching these, that he can kind of progress along with me, because I'm by no means an expert. I think I fall under intermediate as far as my modeling abilities. So, you know, I'm still close enough to beginner that I can totally relate to it, and I still run into beginner stuff. So hopefully people can learn along with me, and that's my plan. So this model won't be as basic oriented. You know, I'm going to kind of get into a little bit more and add more weathering type aspects to it. Kind of go for a little bit more realism than I did on the Panzer, because the Panzer, it could have taken a lot more. And I originally intended to use it as a test bed to experiment on different things, but I want to kind of stick to the beginner thing. So this one will step it up a little bit, but it won't be too much for a beginner to work on. I hope all that makes sense. That's a lot of blabbing, but you know, that's kind of what I'm shooting for. So that's coming up next, and I'll get cracking on that in the next few days. So let's see. Once I get my new products in, I may talk a little bit about those. I know I'm going to be doing, I want to, and I'm not saying it's going to happen right away, but I'll just make it kind of brief. I have let's see, the Vallejo matte varnish. It's the 100% acrylic resin matte varnish. Okay, and again, I really like the way it looks, but I'm beginning to think, and I can't really find anything on the Vallejo site, but I'm beginning to think that this stuff is more to be brushed on. I don't know, it's just, I used the thinner medium, this stuff here, which is also 100% acrylic resin. But again, from what I read, this is more for thinning like model color paints. And if you're going to thin model air paints, you should use the airbrush thinner, which makes sense. The local place where I get it, Hobby Lobby, they don't carry a whole lot of this stuff. They carry a pretty basic lineup. and they were out of the airbrush thinner. So I am going to have to order some, and that's what I'm waiting on. I'm ordering a big bottle of the airbrush thinner. I'm going to try that with the matte varnish. So what I'm getting at is I'm going to experiment with it a little bit, and then I'm going to post a kind of a somewhat detailed video. I may even do a few, like a series on dealing with the different paints and the matte varnish and so forth from Vallejo. So it's all in one place, because I Googled it and I couldn't really find an answer. I got people that they add retarder to it. They add different kinds of fluids to it. They add Coca-Cola to it, and it makes it spray so much. But just all, not really Coca-Cola, but all these different things. And to me, a product, you should be able to use a product either from the bottle or with the assistance of one of their other products. Okay, so I'm hoping the airbrush thinner will make that varnish work. So I'm going to do some experimentation on the different paints and on the different on that stuff with different pressures, different nozzle sizes, and kind of come up with kind of a concrete way of applying this stuff. So that's one of my other things I want to do here pretty soon, and I'll probably do that sooner or later, because I don't want to run any of these problems when I get near the end of this plane over here. Maybe look for that, and hopefully it'll be helpful to somebody. I know it'll be helpful to somebody if they get on YouTube and look up, how do I use Vallejo matte varnish in my airbrush? I want to be able to answer that question definitively and say you use the varnish and you use this other product from them. This is the mixture I used. Demonstrate it to show that it works, pressure, everything, and hopefully help somebody out and give a definitive answer. So I'm going to do a little research, a little experimentation, and then come up with a video that hopefully will be helpful for people. Because that's kind of my goal here, I guess. I don't want to just blab about my stuff. I like to be able to help somebody, be able to enjoy this hobby, because I love it. So anyway, there's that. And I think that's about it. So for this month, I'm going to be working on this plane. I know I'm not going to get it done in a month. I could say I am, but I'm not going to. And finish up the Panzer Kampfwagen. Do a final reveal of that, and wrap that up, and then we'll get going on this. I only like have one kit going at a time, hopefully. So anyway, that's it for this episode of Plastic Models by a Regular Dude. So hopefully it's been a little informative. And again, if you have any questions or comments, right there in the comments section, right below, shoot me some comments, and I will. I promise I will try and look at my videos once in a while to make sure there's no comments I need to answer. And if there is, I'll answer them to the best of my abilities. So anyway, that's it for this time, guys. See you next time, and thanks for watching my attempts at YouTube videos. See you next time.